Hi, I'm Brett, and today we're going to talk about the interior of this Spec C rally car. And you've seen on our other videos where we talked about the way the twin scroll turbo works, the restrictor. We've spoken about the ProFlex suspension. We've shown you what it looks like in the engine bay with the parts removed. And a lot of people have asked us to what this car just looks like from an interior point of view. And this brings back memories of when my rally car was first delivered back in 1999 when I purchased my GC8 rally car from Ponsonbourne Motorsport in Subaru Australia. I was very proud of that moment and given the opportunity to be able to buy such a unique car. But this particular car was the model that came out a couple of years later. It's originally the 03 model, which was converted to a Hawkeye front end. It was built in New Zealand and it now competes in Australia, driven by a close friend of mine. And I want to show you just some of the things of what it looks like inside a rally car of this era. Now, it's not as latest and up-to-date tech as, say, Molly Taylor's MY03 STI competing in the Australian Rally Championship, but it's a pretty good example of a lot of the similar technology that is actually still being used today, because Molly's car runs a similar spec engine with a similar spec drivetrain and a similar Motec ECU to control it all together. So let's just look at some of the cool stuff inside. And the first thing you can see is all the interior has been removed off the inside of the door, because this has to fit with the intrusion bar of the roll cage. So instead of cutting the door trim out, what they do is replace it with a carbon fibre door card and then get the original factory buttons and put them all back in place with the handle. So that does two things. It removes weight, but also makes the car a lot neater. If you're someone who's getting a little bit old as me, a removable steering wheel does make it easier to get in and out of the car. So, and again, suede, it's nice, cool, it's easy to grip with your driving gloves on. But let's just have a look at the rest of the stuff inside the car. So from my point of view as a driver, the stuff that is important to me is a good pedal position, but also a good seat. So you see the seat is mechanically bolted to the bottom of the car, which is using a similar design to the roll cage, and they're pretty strict on the requirements for safety these days with this mechanical design. And it's also got the early beginnings of the head restraint system. So these wings on the side here are to protect me if the car hits the tree sideways, because normally with a helmet on, that's the biggest risk of damage, and an unfortunate reason why a lot of rally car drivers get injured if they hit a tree sideways. Because if I hit a tree here at more than 70 kilometers an hour, I'm dead. And you'll notice that a lot of the new world rally cars are moving the occupants, and the Australia and the V8 supercars are moving the drivers more and more into the center of the cars. If you look at the in-car footage on the World Rally cars, there's a lot of padding and noise and impact absorbing foam, which you can now buy, that's designed to go between here and the outside of the car. And the seat is obviously holds me in place as much as I can. And of course, the other stuff, which is pretty cool, it's got an extension to the handbrake here, which allows it a lot easier for me. And what you do is when you start the rally, you lock off the handbrake here, and it's a lot easier to hold onto the handbrake. And when I pull that on, what it does, it sends a signal to the Motec center diff controller to unlock the center diff, which allows me to lock up the rear wheels to do a handbrake turn on tight corners. The car's got a 6-speed transmission, which in a Subaru STI is virtually bulletproof. Some people opt for a dog drive or a close ratio gear set on these cars, depending on your choice and budget. Those things vary. And you'll notice here it's got a firebomb, so I won't turn it on, but in its normal mode, it has a setup here which has got a firebomb in the back, which is then plumbed in around the front of the engine bay. In case of a fire, I can push that button there and it'll set that off. But of course, underneath my feet down here and on the passenger side are two handheld fire extinguishers as well, which are required for competition from a safety point of view. So on the left-hand side, the co-driver telling me everything I need to know when we're going flat out through the forest is the distance measuring devices. Now, this particular one uses a Monet, and these two devices here pick up wheel speed input to measure road distance, and the co-driver has the ability to zero these at different distances, and using a set of notes, he can talk to me through the intercom, which is controlled by this part here. And you'll see over the back of my head, somewhere in the back here, are the ways that I can then plug in my helmet to be able to talk to my co-driver, because with a crash helmet on these days, without an intercom, you can't hear each other to noise, and also the helmets are so tight on your head, it's like wearing a pair of earmuffs. Now, what you can't see here, which is in place but it's been removed, is the power supply and the signal for the aerial for what's called a rally safe. Now, rally safe is made in Tasmania, It's a global success story for safety in rallying, and also used in offshore powerboat racing and water ski racing here in Australia, and it's now contracted for the World Rally Championship. And when we go to a rally, we get a rally safe. It's a device that's about that big, and it connects to this gimbal mount here, which is then connected to this aerial and this power supply. And what it does is it has a GPS-based locating system, so people back in Rally HQ can see where we are. It'll be telling the people what speed we're doing. It'll tell us the car number of where we are. But more importantly, if we have a big accident, because remembering we're 2 minutes apart on the road in the forest, if I hit a tree or have a really bad accident and it's above a certain G impact, the Rally Safe will measure that and send an immediate warning signal back to Rally HQ to mobilise safety people to come and rescue me in a case of really bad injury. But we don't dwell on the negative side. The positive side is these devices all have the ability to talk to each other because they have aerials and they all daisy chain together. So in the case of a situation where a car may be parked on the side of the rally road and it's just maybe we're coming to pass them, this device will actually talk to it and see that it's there. It'll allow my co-driver to tell me that there is a rally car off the side of the road. Are they safe? Are they parked off the side of the road? And are they in a safe position for us to pass? And as we drive past, the two devices can talk to each other, and my co-driver can indicate to the other co-driver and vice versa if everything is okay by pressing some simple buttons on the display. Now, the other thing, what it also does in a case of a really bad accident and it loses its GPS signal, then what will actually happen is those devices will then communicate with each other and use the aerial on the other rally car to send a signal back to Rally HQ in the case of a really serious accident. But the really cool stuff that these things do is also give us incredibly detailed recording of stage times, the start and the finish of where the rally starts and stops. It allows the organisers of the team to make sure that I'm not being a naughty boy and I'm not speeding on the transports and I'm not breaking any road rules, because between the competition stages when the roads are closed, I have to adhere to normal road rules, and it encourages the motivation of people to do the right thing. So that's the Rally Safe. From a comfort point of view inside the rally car, we have on the Spec Cs, they come factory fitted with a roof vent, and this part opens and closes. And on some cars you can buy a device that sits under here. It's got some pods on it which allows them to direct the air down to me and my co-driver, but that roof scoop has a huge effect on getting air inside the cabin, so when we're driving down the road it gets a little bit more air coming in, but also what it does is it pressurizes the cabin and reduces the amount of dust coming in. And you might be wondering what's done on the dash of this car. So like my GC8, this dash has been removed by the people who built the car, and it's been covered in a fabric to reduce sun glare and reflection on the dash. So therefore there's less chance, and it makes it a little bit easier for me to see out through the car when we're competing. So that's it from a internal point of view. The roll cage is one of the most important things from a rally car these days from a safety point of view, and the Confederation of Australian Motorsport is always looking at ways of making them better. One of the recent changes this year in 2018 is the improvement in the side impact here for the intrusion bars, because in a frontal impact this is what stops the front of the car coming in, and on a rally car like this the whole roll cage is welded as part of the chassis, and not only does it make it safe in the case of a major accident, but it also strengthens the body and makes the car last a lot longer as well. And you'll be wondering what some of this is here. Well, this is FIA spec padding, which is required by the scrutineering requirements. Anywhere that my head or my body can touch this in the case of a serious accident. This particular car probably needs a little bit more padding around the front leg of the roll cage here. This has to be put in place, and this actually is fire retardant. A lot of people in the old days used to use foam off the roof racks of road cars. The downside of that, in a fire, that stuff drips and can injure you, and is obviously catches on fire as well. This stuff isn't. It's a little bit more expensive, but again, it's all about the safety and making sure the car's fun to drive. But at the end of the day, it's all about the environment you're all in, getting in board, having a lot of fun, getting out in the forest and getting some forest racing, and driving the pants off a fantastic car. So stay tuned for our next video, because what we'll do is we'll show the car on the dyno and also explain the difference mechanically, so you can see what the difference is between a twin scroll turbo and exhaust manifold and a single scroll turbo and exhaust manifold like on your Subaru road car. But for today, I hope this video has interested you about what it's like inside a rally car. My name is Brett Middleton. Thanks for watching.